Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now let's talk some of the best fighters in the game. Let's talk, even though we got on the 12th of July, we got a good boxing card about to come up. We'll talk to that and of course talk about that in the course of the week. But the biggest fight, of the year is going to be Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez because of the accolades, because of the fact, their legendary status. Both of these guys, we all like to say it because it's the truth. They're going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. This is really good. Canelo has had all of the accolades, all of the fans. He has a lot of fans. He has a following, right, and stuff like that. So he's already been there. He's been called the face of boxing versus Terence Crawford, who's awesome, but didn't have all of that. You don't have to earn every step of the way. There wasn't nobody that Terence Crawford was able to not fight. We'll just use good words today. Not fight or avoid, right, in his divisions. Terence Crawford had to go after these guys, and they avoided him, right? And he never really got the accolades among mainstream media, except for his pound-for-pound status, where, he had to grab it. So it was a kind of different kind of thing. Canelo was more or less anointed, right? Anointed. And I know it doesn't, Canelo's fans don't like that. But when you're looking at Canelo, and even, at 154 pounds, you're looking at, okay, you would think that one of these divisions where Canelo was, that he would be categorically the best, to be considered number one pound for pound. And at 154, when he was there, young guy, the three other champions were both of the Charlo brothers. And one had won, Jamel was one, WBC or WBA, and Jamal was the other one. And then you had the WBO was Demetrius Andrade. Canelo was his mandatory and refused to fight Demetrius Andrade or either of those champions. And when Demetrius Andrade got stripped of the title because he couldn't get any fights, then Leon Smith got the title and Canelo fought him. That's at 154. Right? So, there, you can't call Canelo categorically the best when he wouldn't fight. He was the mandatory for somebody, didn't fight him, and didn't fight the other two. So is he better than Jamal and Jamel Charlo? And he's better than Demetrius Andrade without fighting him. I mean, if somebody is saying that, something else is going on with you. Then at 160, it's the same thing. He was forced to fight Gennady Golovkin, who will come to. And after getting a win on the second fight with Golovkin, he had 3 belts. So he got the franchise title, so he didn't have to fight Jamal Charlo, right? This new franchise title, because Jamal Charlo was a hard mandatory. You would think, okay, I'm going to get the franchise title so I can become undisputed and beat this one other guy. I could become undisputed in that weight division, the middleweight division, which is a glamour division. And he says no to Demetrius Andrade again. Biggest payday of his life, and he could become the middleweight, the glamour division, the historic division champion by just beating Demetrius Andrade, and said no and called him a horrible fighter. So he wasn't categorically the best at 160. Even though it was nothing standing in the way of that fight, they were all at DAZN, signed at DAZN, and DAZN forced him to do it, wanted him to do it after giving him easy fights. So he goes up to 168 and tells all these Eastern Europeans or European guys to not fight other people so he can fight them. The Callum Smiths of the world and the Billy Joe Saunders. And Billy Joe Saunders was doped and should have fought Demetrius Andrade, was doped. So Canelo waited on the dope guy instead of fighting Demetrius Andrade. It's just, he wasn't categorically the best at 168 because he wouldn't even fight Benavidez or Morrell. And we both know that if Benavidez fights Canelo, it's going to be a 60-40 for Benavidez. If Morrell fights Canelo, it's going to be a 55-45 or 60-40 or higher. So there's always question marks. When it comes to Terence Crawford, there is any. At lightweight when he left, they were happy that he left. At 140, he was undisputed and was looking, anybody else talking any smack before I leave? No, because I just got rid of Postal and Dungo, who had cleared it out. At 147, everybody was hiding behind the myth of we're on the wrong side of the street. You're over at PBC and I'm over at Top Rank. We can't fight you. But all of them wanted to fight Pacquiao, who was on the other side of the street, right? So he beats everybody else up, bigger than him. The guy who beats Pacquiao, everybody else, right? And then starts beating the people on the other side of the street too, starting with Shawn Porter. And the only ones that was missing was Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. And they wasn't in a rush. So he beats Keith Thurman. He beats Errol Spence and Shawn Porter, and people forced him to fight Shawn Porter. It was his friend. He didn't want to fight Shawn Porter, but they forced him on Shawn Porter. And then he was going to fight Ugas, right? Because Errol Spence had 2 belts and Terence Crawford had 1 belt. So Errol Spence was a big fish. They wanted Errol Spence to fight Ugas and not say, Crawford, you fight Ugas so you can get 2 belts. No one wanted him to do that. I remember that. I was like, why are you guys forcing Errol Spence on Ugas when Terence Crawford could fight Ugas and he got 2 belts, and then their negotiations could just be 50-50 and we can keep it moving? They didn't want it. Wanted excuses. But anyway, Terence Crawford takes care of everybody and distance in between those fights. So that's the difference here. And so what I'm going to get to my point is this. Terence Crawford would be categorically the best fighter, the best win on Canelo Alvarez's resume if Canelo Alvarez were to beat Terence Crawford. And it doesn't matter how, just without controversy. Just what we all are saying after the fight, Canelo, props to you, you beat him. Knockout would solve the problem anyway. But if it's not a knockout, Canelo dominates him or just beats him where it's like, he really did beat him, man. Whatever. And Canelo, Crawford fans will admit that. Dude, Canelo, you beat him. But for somebody to be 3 weight divisions lower, be considered damn near the favorite, and would be Canelo's biggest win. All this illustrious career that Canelo had, super resume, which everybody's giving Canelo over Crawford, which I don't understand because Canelo's biggest fights, it was some kind of controversy. Canelo's biggest win, right, in terms of the name and the name, would be Gennady Golovkin. So you're going to can't say the first fight because that was a draw and we know he lost it. So you're saying the second fight, maybe. He didn't really win that. There's a whole bunch of controversy. Because I know you don't want to say Gennady Golovkin at the 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin. So let's go with the second win of Gennady Golovkin. Let's go with the win against Lara. But there was controversy in the Lara win. Everybody thinks Lara won. So I'm saying it has to be categorically Gennady Golovkin 2 for Canelo. Because I don't know if you would go to Billy Joe Saunders, right? Because Billy Joe Saunders is pretty good now. People we're not gonna just ignore him because he's from England. Billy Joe Saunders is pretty damn good, right? I know he wanted to fight Billy Joe Saunders instead of Demetrius Andrade, but that don't mean that Billy Joe Saunders isn't good, right? Billy Joe Saunders is a pretty damn good fighter, all right? I don't know if that's his second best win because it's got to be, or Caleb Plant. Those are the ones, because all the other ones you can't say from the name you say Miguel Cotto, but we don't want to go with the Miguel Cotto because it was categorically bigger than Miguel Cotto, and Cotto was at the end of his career. So we don't really want to go that one because do we really want to say that? Right? Because even Floyd Mayweather didn't get credit for Miguel Cotto, and I think Floyd Mayweather fought him years before. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you want to give him that one. So I'm going with Golovkin. Now, is Terence Crawford a bigger win than that? Hell to the yeah. You know what I mean? It's a bigger win even than Golovkin. And Golovkin's the only one that we could probably say, or Lara. But Lara is too much controversy. So what we want to do is, if Canelo beats Terence Crawford without controversy, I'm saying here, and so are you, that would be Canelo's biggest win. Now, Canelo can rectify that by, after that, not trying to call out a Hamzy Shariz, right? Because, Canelo, the people that Canelo wants to fight, that list is incredible. Because he wants to fight Shariz. Don't want to fight Benavidez or Morrell or something to prove it. He wants to fight Hamzy Shariz, who looked bad in his who lost his last fight, but got a draw with Mabili, right? That's who we want to fight. We've heard him say Jake Paul he would like to fight. We've heard him say he would like to fight Floyd Mayweather. And I'm talking about now. If Floyd Mayweather came out of retirement, he would like to fight Floyd Mayweather, right? Who else? He was in talks for the guy Floyd Mayweather. Who's that guy, that crazy guy from Ireland? I forget his name. The MMA fighter, the Mayweather McGregor, right? He wanted to fight Mukabu to get a cruiserweight title until DAZN said, no, we can't do that. But those are the ones he calls out. He calls those out. He won't say, like, man, Andrade, I'm about to beat the hell out of you for undisputed. Somebody talk about Benavidez. What? I'm going to whoop Benavidez's butt, man, so I could be undisputed and beat him. People talking about he's the best. Who? David Morrell, he's this Cuban sensation. Get the hell out of here. I'm about to take you out. When does Canelo call out somebody awesome that we're saying that you can't beat? The guys, and remember the names I just said. Google it. Every one of them is the one he wants to fight. The good ones, there's something wrong with them. Benavidez didn't beat nobody except Darrell. Now he thinks he's Superman. Andrade is a horrible fighter. You know. And this is what's good about the Terence Crawford versus Canelo fight, the lead up. Because Terence Crawford, I was going to make an extra video about this, but I might as well say it in here. Terence Crawford is saying things in the lead up that need to be said to Canelo openly in front of everybody because mainstream media tries to hide it. Like, every time you step up, you lose. Or there's some controversy. You're not undefeated, so why are we sitting here talking about you? You know, you lost already. You know, no one says these things to Canelo in the open. And that's the difference. So, with that being said, I think that Terence Crawford is doing the right thing by saying straight up what it is. You know what I mean? He's like, what it is. It's like, Canelo is awesome, but he ain't awesome as me. Canelo has lost. Canelo don't want to fight none of the hard fighters, right? We keep picking around hard fighters. There's been enough great fighters around Canelo. I told you, 154. Neither of the Charlos or Andrade. Not for undisputed at 160 against Andrade. Why not? Benavidez or Morrell at 168. Tried to go up to fight Golovkin and then said Bivol, right? Tried to take the easier contract because the other contract was one of the Charlos and Benavidez. So he took the easy one because he wouldn't want to fight Beterbiev because he'd get walked down there. So he figured out he'd fight Bivol. He was the weaker link. Gets beat by Bivol at 175. Bivol says, you know something? Since you're trying to say that 175 is too much weight, it wasn't too much weight for you to beat up Kovalev because Kovalev didn't recover from the yard fight. You right? You want to rush him to fight you. So you fought Kovalev and got credit for beating Kovalev, right, at 175. But the small Bivol, who could come down to 168, he was too big for you at 175. So he offers you to fight you at your weight at 168. I remember then I made videos, about 3 or 4 of them. Like I told him way before, I said, Canelo ain't, are you kidding me? Canelo ain't fighting no damn Bivol at 168 pounds. There ain't no excuses there. And lo and behold, he's like, boom, I ain't doing that. Why? Why not fight Bivol at your weight, right? You know why? Because the belts would be gone. He would be 2-division undisputed, and he would be have some legacy. And what do we say about Canelo? He's not into passing legacy because he ain't got to. So damn right, Terence Crawford would be Canelo's biggest win if he were to beat him without controversy. And y'all know it. Doma Sports Talk, worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.